Welcome back to the Rise Personal Training Podcast. I'm Coach Wyatt, and here, making his official debut, we got Coach Fish.
What's up, guys? Good to be here.
All right. And today we're going to be talking about what success in nutrition looks like in the long term. So I feel like nowadays we always touch on that whole longevity, and it's in the fitness field, the influencer field, and it really is an important concept. It's an important thing to start getting on top of. You have more doctors telling everyone they got to go to the gym and start lifting and all this stuff. And so really people start training, lifting, it's no problem. And then they get to the toughest part, some would say, which is the nutrition aspect, right? And so we really want to just kind of touch on the basics of it, and or how you can kind of start setting yourself up to kind of view your nutrition to start helping you, not just now for your short-term goals, but for the whole time you're training, the whole longevity of all this, right?
Right. Yeah, and like the thing with it being long-term is that unfortunately you can't just eat one good meal and then be done with nutrition for the rest of your life, right? So we have to find a way to incorporate it into our lifestyle, as cliche as that sounds. But it really is about finding what works for you and finding balance in the long term, because ultimately that's just where there's no really finite goal. So you sort of have to do it for the rest of time.
And so I feel like the best starting point here, again, we've talked about it on other podcasts, but we'll keep bringing it up, is just the knowledge of basic macros, right? Really, what are like relevant portion sizes, and what's the path you want to choose? Because for everyone starting their training, you have two paths. You have the diehards, which are going to track their food. They're going to know all their macros, all this stuff, and it's great to do. You'll get results. You'll get quicker results. It's tough to do. Most people, 90% of people, are not going to be doing that. So then they have to go to this other route, which is going to be more so, how do I just change my eating? Okay, and it all starts with, okay, well, let's look at your food. Let's look at what are you eating? Let's look at your portion sizes. You might not want to track, but before you know it, your portion sizes are way off balance. Okay, it's like you're eating too much carbs, not enough protein. So really, it's like, what's kind of that set, portion size people should be looking for, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be dependent on everyone, right? Because everyone's different size. Like you wouldn't expect a 6'6" person to be eating the same thing as a 5'2" person, right?
Right.
But yeah, so ultimately you just have to find what works for you. When it comes to either tracking or doing the portion sizes, like some people might need that rigidity, like entering exactly what you eat every meal might be super helpful for some people on staying on top of it. But other people, that might just be really annoying, and you can sort of just visually see what you're doing. So again, back to the portion sizes. And I think we've talked about that in some other podcasts, but there's like the hand portioning sizes, which is useful. So like you might want to get 2 palms worth of protein for every meal as a goal. Yeah.
And of course, we're talking about your training here. It's like regardless if you're training or not, protein's an important part of your nutrition there. And then what you'll start to see is, especially here, we're using the InBody, we're tracking, we're seeing the progress being made. And so if you're someone that's just eyeballing here, you're working on your portion sizes, you're trying to incorporate more protein, it's like you're doing the research, you're gathering the data, just write it down, keep an idea of it, because what you'll find is, same as the gym, you get reps and reps and reps of making these meals, fine-tuning it, doing all this stuff, you're seeing results. You now know, like I'm sure you're in the same boat, I know exactly the meals I need to eat to stay exactly where I'm at. I know exactly what I need to add to those meals, or what I need to cut to go up a little bit or to go down a little bit. That's just because for years and years and years and years, I've eaten these same meals. Okay, it's like, took me a while to figure out what was working for me, but once I do, it's like, now I don't need to wait. I've done tracking before, I've counted my calories, all this stuff. Now I can just eyeball it. I know if I have this much ground turkey on my plate for a few meals, I'm going to start putting on some muscle, and vice versa. I can remove all that stuff. And so again, if you're doing all this work, it really is research. Just keep some sort of log, and then you'll start to get this understanding of just kind of where you fall and what it does to your body and such.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So I mean, like, intuitive eating is definitely going to be pretty important, because you don't definitely want to track everything for the rest of time. It can be tedious, obviously speaking from experience, but just knowing your body's own system, like when you're full, when you are a little bit hungry. So like if you were trying to lose a little bit of weight, then knowing when you're a little bit hungry right before going to bed, then knowing you're probably in a deficit. or if you know that you need to, like Wyatt was saying, or like you were just saying, adding a little bit of extra protein to gain some more muscle is definitely important.
And then I feel like for all of this, there's a balance, right? Mm-hmm. There's a balance to life. We're talking about success in the long term, not the short term. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? That means you're going to go on trips, right? That means you're going to go out. You're going to have fun. You're going to eat things you know you shouldn't be eating and everything. You know, we all do it. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of, again, finding that balance, right? So, you know, you have this playbook, you have these meals, you know, you can eat and, you know, it gives you these results. But that doesn't factor in when you go out and you eat a whole pizza, you know, when you have an additional 5,000 calories out of nowhere, you know, because I mean, that stuff goes somewhere. And so it definitely is one of those, you have to start working at that. Okay, you know your meals, which work for you, but then how do you start factoring in like going out, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good point. It's all very personal, right? But one of my favorite quotes is everything in moderation, including moderation. So there will be times where, yeah, you'll have to stick to something to see results, but the reason why you're doing that is so you can go have fun. Life is meant to be enjoyed. I don't think you should never be able to eat a pizza again, you know, maybe not a whole pizza, you know, but so yeah, like the way I sort of think about it is like 80% of the time, as long as I'm eating pretty well, like whole foods, like real food that I cook, then I'm pretty happy. And then the other 20% can be, you know, just fun stuff like instant ramen or like going out to eat or like a beer or something like that.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like it's what I follow too is as long as I'm good over 80% of the time, I can enjoy myself elsewhere. You know, exactly. I tell everyone or all of our members that go on trips, it's like, look, go and have fun. You know, if you want to, you know, be on top of it still while you're on vacation, great. That's great. Discipline, all that stuff. But still, you know, it doesn't hurt to, you know, enjoy yourself a little bit. The most important thing when we're training all this is you just get back on track. Right. You know, it's like, yeah, everyone falls off the wagon and it's just a problem when you don't get back on, you know? So it's you go out, you have fun. As soon as you get back, guess what? You know the meals that you're supposed to eat because you've been doing all this stuff. You have, like I always call it, the playbook. You got the playbook. Just get back to that up until your next trip. Yeah. You know, so it's like the most simple approach, but still, it's because we're not thinking about the next 3 months. You know, yeah, if you want a result in 3 months, you better lock in. But if you're just talking like, hey, I'm just working out for the rest of my life, it's that have more good days than bad, and then ultimately always fall back to what you know is going to work and what's good for you. Enjoy yourself here and there, right?
Yeah, so like you said, but getting back on track is going to be an important part. As long as you're trending towards the generally more healthful lifestyle, then I think that's ultimately the most you can ask for, right? Because I think there's, like, if you try to cut things out, a lot of times restriction will sort of lead to like, oh, I can't take it anymore, and then you binge, and then you feel really bad, and then you might just sort of fall off the track. But as long as you, like Wyatt was saying, get back on, I think you're still in alignment with your goal.
And so I feel like that's, you know, at least for me, that's the most important tip to give people when they're really, you know, looking for the success long term, which is just always get back on track to the good things that you know aren't going to be hurting you. What are some other tips you got for people, again, looking at this long term success here?
I guess to get really deep, you got to know your why. Like ultimately, why are you even trying to eat healthy? Why are you trying to work out more? Like we were talking about at the beginning, I think there's a lot to do with longevity and not just like living a long time, but being able to live pretty fully for that.
The quality of it.
The quality of life, is going to be super important, right? You wouldn't want to be super old and unable to move. So maintaining that through a healthier lifestyle by working out, which if you're listening to this podcast, good job. You're probably doing that.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But yeah, nutrition is another really big piece of the puzzle. It's sort of, they go hand in hand. You can't really have one without the other. Like personally for me, I want to sort of embody this lifestyle because I want to sort of control what I can control in terms of my health, you know, just having a strong body and mind and spirit. And then also, like, I still play sports outside of this, so the eating and working out helps me support that goal of just being better at what I like to do.
Right.
So ultimately, it just helps me enjoy my life more fully.
And that's why here, we'll this will be the last thing we touch on, but it's why we go over goals. It's why, like, you have your initial goal when you start the gym, of course, and then 3 months down the road that might change. 6 months, you might be here for 3 years, and goals change. The important thing, though, is that you always go back and you figure out, okay, why am I doing all this, right? It's just it's very motivating. It's the driving factor. Listen, we talked about motivation. We all lose motivation. We don't all are just like, yeah, train. Sometimes like the external factor, like you need performance, you have a sport, like you got to be training for something that helps. Again, you set this goal, you have kids, you want to be able to, live a nice, strong, healthy life for them, all that stuff. It's important to always understand what's your why. It's going to keep you going, but it's going to keep you disciplined. It's going to keep you doing what you're supposed to do. Okay. So for those of you listening, really, again, look at yourself right now, look at your goals for now, start to, at least pay attention to your nutrition a little more. We're already eating more protein because we yell at you all the time for that. But again, start to understand what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And then, the one thing I'll leave you with is just look, enjoy yourself when you go on trips and all this stuff. It's just understand you always got to get back on track, right?
That's the deal.
All right, that's all we got. We'll talk to you guys next week. Later.
Have a good one.